Oh, howdy everyone. So, coming today from the office here at Surge. So, one of the questions we get a lot, and obviously mainly because of the lifestyle that most of us live nowadays, is from a chair bound or a desk bound individual, right? Like if you work at an office job, if you work at, if you're, drive around all day, if you, whatever it may be, we are prone to sitting a lot. So one of the things that we get a lot of is, especially when we start working with just anyone that walks through the doors, usually we see a lot of problems when it has issues pertaining to the low back, the knees, the shoulders, and then just kind of all the other domino effects that we see on a health and movement standpoint. And it's more tied to, I think the part that we try to get across to most people on there is it's the compounding effect and it's the repetition effect of what we do on a daily basis of what our lifestyle is, as opposed to, we get a lot of this side like, well, I got bad knees, I got bad back, I got bad shoulders. And it's like, well, more often than not, unless you were a professional athlete or you worked a manual labor job or whatever on there, like your body is over years, right? Like if you've worked at a desk job for 10 years, like that's thousands and thousands of hours of you being in a non-ideal position, which if your body isn't moving is going to cause a domino effect of other things that are going to be happening on there. And so the goal for today, you guys, is just to kind of help you bring awareness around just getting you moving around. I know when I was finishing up school, before I started my internship and my first essential coaching job at the University of Colorado, I was working downtown in a normal 9 to 5 office job. And, you live in the good old cubicle life. And, it astounded me and just blew my mind that literally I would be the only person that would get up, even just during lunch for the one time a day and go walk around, 16th Street Mall. And everyone else would be fixated to their desks. And the only thing that they would ever do was essentially go to the bathroom or go to the lunch area to get food to bring back to their desk and sit there for, 8-10 hours a day. And all of a sudden you could see just the compounding aspect of people that would be there over a year's time frame of just having, chronic things go on. And so just a goal for today, you guys, is just a simple just movement routine that you can do. What I would recommend on this, you guys, is one of the things that we talk a lot to our clients on is creating just habits and bringing awareness around that. And usually more times than not, you guys, what we do on a day-to-day basis, we're on autopilot. I think it's roughly about 40% of what we do on a day-to-day basis is roughly performed from an unconscious level, just because, yet again, we're habitual human beings, and the simpler a task can be, that's usually the route we're going to be, and we like things being simple. And so for most of us, we just get into the runs and the rucks of our daily task, and we sit there for 8 hours, and all of a sudden, before we know it, it's like, I haven't done anything for the last 8 hours, and you get up and all of a sudden you're stiff, you're immobile, and all these things happen. And the likelihood of you wanting to even go to the gym at that point is probably even more unlikely because you're feeling just stiff, immobile, discomfort, and all those kind of things. So for today, you guys, just got a super simple something that you can do throughout the day. What I'd recommend that is set an alarm for yourself. Set an alarm for yourself every 2 hours. Start off with lunch. Do it, during one time during your day. And I promise, the more you can do these things, the better you're going to feel. Not only are you going to feel, but I almost guarantee you're also probably going to perform better at your job. Your mood's going to be better. You're going to be at a better state. You're going to function at a better level. So your boss, your manager, whatever it may be, will also probably give you a good old pat on the back after as you go through this in a little bit more longevity. So what I got for you, okay? So for most of us, you guys, when we're typing, obviously, like if you're desk bound, you're typing, or if you're texting or doing this, we're more often in this kind of forward anterior rotated shoulder position, and our thoracic spine, our low back, everything else just gets kind of compressed and wrecked on. So what we need to do, you guys, is open up those vertebrae, open up those shoulders. All right. So more times than not, you guys, what we tend to see is all of our traps, our rhomboids, the lower portion of our traps, all of this gets really, really tight, but more importantly, so does the chest and the pecs. All right. So all muscles, yet again, we essentially function as a giant puppet. right? So if I can want to bring my arm to my face or essentially do a curl, my bicep has to contract in order to bring myself up. But if this muscle is super, super short and super, super tight, this will always be under tension, and I can't essentially extend my arm out straight because this is in a shortened state. It's that string attached. The same thing happens with my shoulders and upper back, right? Like you may take notice of what is your upper thoracic spine, the top portion of your back. What does that look like? If you're in this type of position, even when you stand up, you have kind of this rounded thing going on here. That's causing a lot of restriction, which is obviously going to probably pertain to other health or other shoulder issues, upper back problems, probably neck pain. And then it's also a domino effect down from there, right? Like things just aren't specified specific to one thing. If I have a shoulder thing going on, I probably also have an elbow thing and a wrist thing going on. I may also have a neck thing going on. So it's understanding that everything is connected in a systematic form. So if I'm having, upper back and shoulder things going on, I don't just need to stretch this out. I also need to stretch this out and get myself into a better position. So first off, you guys, is bring yourself to awareness of what are the positions that you're sitting in all day long. Because I would imagine the position you're sitting in is also the position that you're standing in, because that's what we're prone to doing under thousands of hours of doing that. All right. So first off, just on an awareness standpoint, is focus on pulling your shoulders back and down. I always think about trying to take my shoulder blade and put it in my back pockets. So as I'm through there, you can see all of a sudden by simply just doing that, my shoulders get into a better position, my head's in a better position. I'm not in this kind of rounded position on that, right? So a lot of it starts with awareness first and foremost, all right? But super simple, easy stretch you can start off with is just starting from a seated position, okay? Is starting off, take your hands out in front of you, back away from your desk and allow yourself to just reach out, extend. Open up each vertebrae, get those shoulder blades to, instead of being stuck together, to rotate and extend away. And then from there, I can do the same thing. I might put my hands behind my head, open up the shoulders, try to pull my elbows together, try to maybe feel a nice little stretch across my shoulders, across my pecs, across there, across my chest. Just kind of open up. I can bring my chin to the sky. Just good breath, nice, calm and relax for one. Not to mention, as I open this up, the more I focus on my breath, that's also going to elicit a lot of different physiological responses in my brain. If you're constantly feeling like you're just against the wall all the time, you're probably also not breathing. I'll get to the diaphragm here in a second. But the next one so we got the forward, we got the back. The next one you can do is just reach overhead. You can, same thing, interlock the fingers, reach overhead. You might grab one of the wrist. As you're through there, just simply lean one direction. All right, because the lats, all that, the serratus muscles underneath here, your ribs, all that connective tissue underneath will get really, really tight, matted down, which will cause this to go on, which I can't breathe from. So the more I can open up all this, the more it's going to allow me to be in a better position. It's going to allow me to pull my shoulders back. It's going to allow me to breathe better. So I can lean to one way. I can lean the other direction. You might find one side you have good mobility. You might find the other. You might be that person that has this going on or this going on, or if you can't raise your arms behind your ears, like those are also other signs of potential things that may be going on. Once I go overhead there, I can also take my hands behind the low portion of my back. So from that point, I'm going to scoop my shoulders back. Same thing, raise the chin, almost like I'm trying to take my chest and show it to the ceiling up over above. Oh yeah. Open the shoulders, open up the chest a little bit there again. As you're through there, if you're in a chair, that may be a little bit more mid-back on that. I can, same thing, just kind of get some arch going on. So what I'm trying to do, you guys, is that thoracic spine, oftentimes it's locked in, so I don't really have a lot of flexion and extension through there, right? Like we're meant to have, the spine should be able to move, right? I should be able to control that. It shouldn't be necessarily like a ferret would be, where I'm able to just kind of bend it back and forth, but I should have some mobility where I actually can move my thoracic spine and control that. Not to mention now, not only do I want to have flexion and extension, I also want to have rotation, all right? A particular amount of rotation in my spine actually means that I'm healthy. Oftentimes we get so fixated like rotating is not good for me, or I'm in a swivel chair, so I never actually look over my shoulder. I don't have the ability to do this because I always swivel around. So a lot of it is being able to, can you actually rotate your shoulders into better position, and can you get like some actual thoracic rotation actually happening? All right, so from there, simply just kind of what I just did, you can take one hand over, or you can simply just kind of rotate, just look back over that opposite shoulder, just kind of see what's going on. You can do both sides through there. You might find one side's a little bit different than the other. You can also start by simply just placing the hand on opposite shoulders and just rotating from that point. But the key there is keep your feet anchored to the ground so everything's locked in, so you can actually get some rotation. And you can also use your elbows as kind of a guider. Do you have one side that you're able to actually get some decent rotation from, where the other side you may be lacking on that? Because yet again, I would imagine if you have one side versus the other, we're probably having some discrepancies going on, which is also probably causing some movement pattern going on, which is also probably causing some other issues to come up while feeling some discomfort going on through that. All right, so that's another super simple one that you can do from seated position. Now moving down to like the lower extremity on that, you guys, just a simple forward fold. All right, because oftentimes, like I said, if we're just compounding and kind of compressing that spine all day long, like my low back, my erectors in my back, my QL, all that stuff is going to be really, really tight. Not to mention, when we get tight muscles, you guys, how our muscle contracts is it sends a signal from my brain to the muscle spindle that basically tells what motor unit to fire, which contracts the muscle. But when everything's super, super tight, it's kind of like trying to essentially, wouldn't recommend, but if I go squeeze a telephone line, right? If I go to just, instead of being kind of free flowing, I go to squeeze all that information that's trying to run through that, there gets a little bit of a blockade happening. That your nerves, all that stuff gets the same thing. So if there's a nerve that gets kind of pinched, or the muscle fiber isn't necessarily sliding very well, all of a sudden that signal gets kind of mumble jumbled up. So especially what happens to the low back, oftentimes if you have, SI issues, and all of a sudden, you get one hip that's a little bit higher than the other. Sometimes that can be related to the muscle on the side here, my QL. If I have one side that either isn't contracting very fully, or it may be just tight, which could also be causing my hips to get a little bit displaced on there, I need to open that up. So what happens, an easy one to do on that, you guys, is just simply forward folding to the ground, okay? It doesn't have I wouldn't say it's like grab yourself and kind of pull down there, but it's just simple forward folding. As I get through there, so that's going to get a little bit more my erector, but as I can take my opposite hand, reach over, start to grab my opposite ankle. That's going to get more of my side and my QL across here. Same thing goes. I don't just want flexion, I want rotation at the same time. So as I'm down there, I might take my opposite hand, reach it to the sky. Same thing other side, reach it to the sky. You may get, some, unassisted adjustments happening through there. You may find, one side you're able to get full extension to the ceiling. You may find the other side you're not able to get any of it. You also might find a little bit of tension across that pec and shoulder. All right. So the same thing, low back, work onto the hips. So if you got sciaticus, one of those things we hear a ton is the sciaticus. I got the shooting pain down my leg, right? And so oftentimes that's your piriformis muscle. The sciatic nerve runs between your piriformis muscle. And so oftentimes when we get tight hips, or yet again, we get those hips that are displaced, that muscle kind of contracts under a safety mechanism and kind of pinches off that sciatic nerve, which causes the numbness, causes the really bad discomfort, causes all those sensations going on through there. So we first need to see if we can open up that area. So a super simple one you can do there, if you can, is just take one ankle, cross it over the opposite knee. Okay, so I'm kind of in this figure four position. I don't know if you can see on the camera or not. But from here, I'm going to steep nice and tight through my belly button. Okay, I'm not going to, yet again, we're not going to try to teach ourselves to move from a bad position. I'm going to keep my shoulders back. From here, I can just simply work on just pressing my knee down. Doesn't have to be aggressive. It just be kind of passive. And then from that position, you guys, I can also just kind of forward fold. I can just forward fold right over my chin or right over my shin. I can also rotate to my toes. I'll tie in a little bit more of that lateral hip through there. Same thing for that QL. I can bring hands overhead. I can rotate towards my knee on that. I can kind of work around. A lot of these things, you guys, is we get a lot, well, where should I feel that? And it's going to be independent to you. Only you are going to be able to really distinguish, oh, this doesn't feel right. Oh, this feels kind of awkward. I'm really, really tight over here, right? Like some people, they can do these things all day long and they may not have any problems. They may have something else going on. Where for others on that, for yourself, is use these times to kind of self-discover. If you can self-discover like, hey, when I do that, I notice this happens. Because if you can identify those things, you can also probably kind of self-diagnose and kind of figure out what you can do to probably fix the issues that you're having, all right? So first one would be that figure 4 position, all right? The next one, working back into the hamstrings, okay? Because yet again, if all of that posterior chain, everything else is really, really tied together because we're in this fixed position on here, oftentimes that's going to cause, same thing, low back issues, going to cause all kinds of pelvic stuff going on. So the more I can get these things kind of balanced out, the better it's going to be. So one that I like to do on here is kind of the same thing as that forward fold, but I'm going to take one leg. Hopefully you can see it. I'm going to take one leg, extend it out, it's kind of straight. Same thing, I'm thinking belly button nice and tight to my spine, chest up, and I'm going to simply just kind of forward fold through there. Okay, I might oscillate back and forth, hold for 5 seconds, relax, see if I can just get a little bit deeper through there. Also, while you're down there, you guys, yet again, if you've had the sciatic issues going on, you can, you can flex the toe, so my toe can be here, I can flex, but then I can also flex it back, so I can extend and flex. As I flex and extend, so every time your muscle contracts, it moves and slides. It looks like kind of like a caterpillar leg, kind of ratcheting across itself. Now, when you kind of flex from that position, what it does, yet again, the nerve kind of runs through the alongside the muscle tissue. So when I contract and move, it's called nerve flossing. Okay, so I can actually, if that nerve is kind of glued because all the fascia and all the other stuff is just really, really tightly wound to it, that tissue isn't sliding very well. So if we can get that tissue to open up a little bit more, you will probably get some sort of relief around those areas. So by simply just flexing and extending while you're in this position, you're going to allow for some nerve flossing across that sciatic nerve and the other nerves in the lower extremity on that, which can allow yourself to possibly alleviate some of the discomfort you're having, all right? So those are easy ones you can do while you're in a seated position. The next one you can do is get up, all right? The best thing that I found for myself when I was working in that environment is simply getting up and getting blood flow, okay? So your heart isn't just pumping to the things that you want working. It works in a circular fashion. It's your circulatory system. It works in a circle, right? So what goes out also has to come back in. So if my body is seated in this position for 8 hours a day, oftentimes blood pools, it doesn't move very well. It creates, that's where we get heart issues getting on. That's where we get all these things because my body has to work to keep pumping and pushing those things through. So instead, allow yourself to get up. When I contract a muscle, it contracts on all the vessels and all the everything, the arteries, everything else that's pumping the blood back to my heart. It pushes it along. It pushes that system going on. So it makes my heart, it allows my heart to work less because it's contracting and actually pushing the blood back through that circulatory system. So sitting down, it could also be compounding the other issues that we could possibly be having. So getting up and moving will help that, all right? So by simply, you do that same stretch routine. As I'm standing, I can reach forward, overhead. If you got a lot of oblique, if you got QL things going on here, same thing. You can reach up overhead, push that hip opposite direction, kind of open up all that. The other one, I know we talked about the backside, now getting into the hip, stand up, allow yourself to nice and tight. From here, I can just simply push my hips forward. From that position, the biggest thing in that is I'm trying to tuck my hips underneath and drive my hip forward. As I'm through that, same thing, I might rotate away. That will give me a little bit more stretch across that hip. If you got quad things going on, yet again, if we got knee things going on, oftentimes what I've found, you guys, in working with the amount of people I've worked with over the years is oftentimes we express this knee pain. When I'm walking downstairs, when I'm squatting, I got all these knee issues. Well, yet again, what's happening here oftentimes isn't the problem area. It's usually upstream or downstream. That's usually the culprit of what's happening. So if we open up upstream and we can kind of see there, if you open this up and we still have issues, what's going on downstream? We can kind of, yet again, self-diagnose, kind of get us a better idea as opposed to WebMDing these things and all of a sudden you have a tight muscle and all of a sudden you go in because you think your leg's going to fall off. So yet again, opening up the hips, Easy, super simple one. You can go here. If you're not able to do a lunge position, you guys, you can use your chair. Same thing. Just kind of get behind here. Open this up a little bit. For those that maybe have a little bit higher chair, you can bring your foot up onto that chair. If you got, you can use your desk for balance if you need to. Just kind of bring the hip forward. We call this one, it's a kind of a modified couch stretch. So if you can see my chair, I can put my foot up onto it. And then same thing, just kind of, I can allow myself to just kind of sit down, open up my quad a little bit, come through here. If you don't have good balance, I wouldn't just recommend like going to this thing. Use your desk, use those kind of things as kind of just an external platform for you to balance on as well. From that point, same thing. I can kind of just stagger stance. I can do that forward fold across that hamstring across there. If I'm at my desk, I can still do that figure 4 position, cross over, and just allow myself to sit down, right? Like I can sit down, kind of hang out through here a few times, just kind of oscillate back and forth, just get some movement through there. And then lastly, yet again, is getting that rotation. I can sit out. I can, kind of arch, round, just get some more movement through my thoracic spine and create a better movement pattern for myself. And then lastly, getting that rotation again up to the sky, and just kind of allow yourself, because more than anything, you guys, it's just getting yourself moving around. I think that's probably the biggest factor of all this, you guys, is just getting yourself moving around and becoming aware of, oh man, I haven't moved around for the last 2 hours. Oh man, I haven't even gone to the bathroom the last 6 hours. Oh man, you know what? I do this every single day. And I promise if you can bring more awareness around this, and what I always suggest to everyone we work with, especially initially on there, you guys, is because, yet again, technology can be our friend, is set alarms for yourself. Set, every 2.5 hours, every 2 hours, whatever it may be, if you need to do it, just do it during lunch. Start off with that, right? But the more we can get into the habit of moving, I promise if you're going to, yet again, I'm not saying you have to all of a sudden start CrossFit. I'm not saying you have to go start running a marathon. I'm not saying, it's just getting yourself up from the desk bound or the seated positions that we all find ourselves in and bringing more awareness around how we're sitting, how we're folding, how we're just putting ourselves throughout there. And if you can move and go through these things, do it super simple. What I would start off, you guys, is go through this routine. Take 10 seconds of each of those, right? Like I'm not asking you to all of a sudden do an hour long of yoga inside your office area or your cubicle or whatever you're sitting in. Start off with 10 seconds. Start with 10 seconds. Reach out. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,005. Done. Move around. Yet again, I promise the more you do this, even if it's in small incremental little segments of it, you're going to get movement going on. And especially if you find yourself in discomfort, you guys, I almost promise without ever seeing you guys move, it probably is tied to a lot of these things because you know what we see oftentimes with clients is, well, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour. I'm going to see this. I'm going to see a coach. I'm going to see a trainer. I'm going to do these things and you're going to get benefit out of it. Like there's reasons why we do the things that we do. But more importantly is if I work with you for an hour, but you're at work for 8-9 hours a day, the time and balance isn't even equal on that. So it starts with awareness, but it also starts with just little small segmented things that you can do on a daily basis to allow yourself to understand that you hold the key, you hold the power, that you can do these things to get yourself not just from feeling super stiff, but also feeling better and functioning at a higher level and a higher state throughout the day. So if you got questions, Mr. Nate, what'd you say? Awesome, brother. I'm super happy that I know mobility has always been kind of a fun thing for you, Nate. So I appreciate the fact that you have been doing your morning routine and getting moving around because that makes a huge difference. All right. So above all, you guys, hey, you know what? Obviously, this is my first time doing, this type of setting videos. If you got benefit of this, let me know. If there's certain things that you, yet again, would like to see if we can help you out with, let us know. Throw it out on the comments on here. So let me kind of see what we can help you guys out with. But overall, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And yeah, we all live this lifestyle. So let's see if we can just things that we can do throughout the day, get ourselves moving around and have a great rest of your day. So like I said, appreciate it. And let me know what you think. Take care.